Julie, 7, Wednesday at 7. I used to remember that time.
You want me to give you the agenda in here so that you remember? Because I can print on that.
No, I'm good.
Right here.
Got it wrote down here. I'm good.
You get all packet.
I got it right here. I'm good.
All right. Okay. I think we're ready to go. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call to order the regularly scheduled meeting of the Beloit City Council. We're at 100 State Street in Beloit, Wisconsin. It is 7 p.m. on Monday, 24th, or Monday, February 4th, 2013. Roll call.
Roll call shows all councilors present.
2 is Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 3A, so proclamation recognizing the Beloit International Film Festival, February 14th through 17th, 2013. Council Vice President Spreitzer will give the proclamation.
Whereas the Beloit International Film Festival, BIFF, will celebrate its 8th season of enhancing the quality of life in Beloit, bringing visitors and residents together in the celebration of film, and bringing recognition and praise to our city, February 14th through 17th, 2013. And whereas BIFF continues to expand the number of venues and the quality of the presentations throughout our region, and whereas this internationally acclaimed festival has expanded its program this year to include music presentations by emerging singer-songwriters and groups in local venues through BIFF Plus Music, and whereas once again this year BIFF will present films for the underserved audiences in our community through BIFF Latino and BIFF for the Deaf, and whereas BIFF has joined with Beloit Regional Hospice, as it has joined with other local organizations in the past, to focus the power of film on a pressing issue in our lives and our community. And whereas BIFF has brought more than 100 filmmakers and 120 outstanding films, documentaries, features, and short films to 15 venues in Beloit, Rockford, and Janesville. And whereas BIFF has continued its important mission of educating future film audiences by bringing thousands of school children together to learn critical viewing skills. And whereas BIFF has launched its first community fundraising campaign to complement the generosity and support provided by the Hendricks Group, Visit Beloit, Beloit College, and the leading business and financial institutions in our community. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the City Council of the City of Beloit honors the organizers, sponsors, and volunteers that contribute to the success of BIFF, and declare the week of February 10th to 17th, 2013 to be Beloit International Film Festival Week. We urge all citizens to enjoy these exciting events and to extend the welcome of our community to the thousands of filmmakers and film fans who will be visiting Beloit. Presented this 4th day of February 2013.
All right, item number 3B is the State of the City Address. I'll be delivering that. This will be mercifully short. Each year at this time, the City Council President in the State of the City Address offers to all of us a summary of the year past and the hopes for the future. I will not dwell on the details, as our City Manager will report those later this month. I will discuss philosophy and policy. This discussion will center on the principles that provide the high-level why and how that drives our actions today and what are needed for the future. To illustrate my points, I have titled this address, Dedication, Determination, Persistence, and Patience. These 4 virtues have given us the ability to achieve what success could be derived during our lethargic national recovery. Any community that lacks these 4 qualities is not likely to advance or even survive. I intend to discuss each of our 2012 achievements in light of determination, dedication, persistence, and patience. Dedication, the definition, is a moral commitment to a principle. The city and our private partners continue to be dedicated to developing and growing our economic base. The business retention and recruitment remain our most important priority. New victories are few, but we have solid expansions at Kettle and Cary, among others, to show for our efforts. Determination. This is the stubbornness to push through in the face of obstacles. Our community showed tremendous dedication and determination to improve our schools. The passing of an unprecedented $70 million referendum sent a clear message to the greater community and beyond that we will make our schools' improvement a top priority. Persistence. This is one of our finest qualities. It is in the quality of continuously pressing forward with long-term goals until completion. Nearly a generation ago, civic partners, Beloit 2020 and its predecessor, chief among them, Beloit College and the city began a renaissance of the city of Beloit. Our continued persistence has seen that completion of several important projects in our plan. It's taken nearly 2 decades to see all of the Riverside improvements finally completed this year. In collaboration with the state of Wisconsin, we also completed the reconstruction of the Henry Avenue Bridge and renamed it and dedicated it to one of our greatest partners and the son of the city, Ken Hendricks. Persistence paid off again as after the years of searching for a solution to the problem posed by the vacant Wagner building, Hendricks Development, in conjunction with the city, began the transformation of the 300 block of East Grand Avenue, appropriately renamed the Phoenix Building. Many of the things that we as a community want to do seem to take forever. This is where patience comes in. Patience is the ability to suppress restlessness or annoyance when confronted with delay. Both patience and persistence took center stage when we worked through and entered into a new intergovernmental agreement with the Ho-Chunk Nation. This was the next step to further our quest to successfully conclude the casino project. Amazingly, the Hampton Inn took nearly 4 years to complete, with the greater Beloit Economic Development Corporation playing a major role in finally pushing this project through to completion. I think we were all very long-suffering looking at that unfinished building for so long. Then there have been several causes that residents have been advocating for many years in the city. The dog park and backyard chicken ordinance were both finalized in 2012 as a result of civic participation by these parties. We all know that relations with our neighbors, the town of Beloit, the town of Turtle, and the city of Janesville have not always been constructive. This year has seen the most amazing turnaround in our relations with the neighboring communities, with joint meetings and staff laying the groundwork for equitable cooperation on a scale unthinkable just a few years ago. We will work for ongoing improvement in the years ahead. And not all of our projects were seen through to completion this year. We did continue to work with North Star Radioisotopes to finalize their project. And the city has looked for new ways to be competitive, have a competitive advantage in economic development. Knowing that we needed to be even more responsive and flexible, we took the painful step of buying out our longtime partner in the Gateway Business Park, MLG. In summation of 12, it was a year where all victories were paid for by the toil of preceding years. For 2013 promises to bring its own challenges. The 2012 budget balanced cleanly based on fiscal discipline and resolve of prior years. The 2013 budget will hinge on a state biennial budget we have not seen yet, but it is unlikely to leave shared revenue at its present levels. We must encourage our interested residents to find ways to ensure the continued availability of amenities that they enjoy and care about. The pool and the golf course, among others, could be benefited from friends of groups to support their operations. While we've handled the bulk of our big old building problems, such as the former mall and the old Kmart building, which will soon see a new Piggly Wiggly store, the former Cary building at West Grand looming as an emerging challenge. Gutted by an unscrupulous investor who's left a carcass standing, it threatens to mar our city center. I challenge staff, myself, and my colleagues to come up with a workable solution in fullness of time. I believe that improving our local economy is the foundation for improving the lives of our residents. But many of our residents still need support, however. While the city has no direct role in some of these supports, we can coordinate with supporting agencies. I will finish by reminding us all that while Beloit's recent history has been challenging, dedication, determination, persistence, and patience have moved us forward, and I believe that it's the qualities that will continue to keep us moving forward. Thank you. See, that wasn't so bad, was it? All right. Item 4, we have public hearings, none. Citizens' participation. We've reached a point on the agenda for citizens to speak to the council about items that are coming before us or may become for us in the future. Council members may not act on any requests at this meeting, but may refer the speaker to staff for assistance. We ask that you hold your comments to 3 minutes or less and refrain from personal attacks of any kind. Do we have anyone wishing to come forward and speak under citizens' participation? Second call. Do we have any persons wishing to come forward and speak under citizens' participation? Third and final call for anyone to come forward and speak under citizens' participation. Hearing none, I will close the citizens' participation and move to the consent agenda. Number 6, all items under the consent agenda are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered on this point of the agenda. Does anyone want anything removed from the consent agenda? Seeing none, the consent agenda is composed of items 6A through 6D. Do I have a motion on the consent agenda?
Motion. Second.
Moved by Lupke, second by Van de Bogart. All in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent agenda passes 7-0. Item 7A.
A resolution setting return date and authorizing issuance of summons for alcohol license sanction hearing for Speedway LLC, DBA Speedway number 4293, 2781 Milwaukee Road, Nancy A. Bryant, agent.
Ms. Krieger.
At the December meeting, the Alcohol Beverage License Control Committee recommended a 30-day suspension of the Class A beer license for Speedway. The complaint has been filed with the city clerk. At this time, the law requires that the council set a date and a time for a hearing and authorize the issuance of a summons for the business to appear at that hearing. We've tentatively scheduled that for Tuesday, February 12th at 6:30 p.m. if that works with the council. I have contacted Attorney Henderson, and he has indicated his willingness to act as counsel to the council, provided you set the date. So we'd ask that you do that today.
I move approval, Mr. President, of 7A with a return date for a hearing on the 12th of February at 6:30.
I'll second.
Moved by Van de Bogart, second by DeForest. Any discussion on this? Hearing none, I'll call the matter. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Item number 8, ordinances. There are none. Number 9, appointments. There are none. So 10, councilor activities and upcoming events. And Councilor DeForest.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am looking forward to attending several of the BIF films. One of my favorite is the silent film showcase, and look forward to seeing many of our area residents and neighbors and friends at that event. I also would just like to make an announcement. The Rock River Trail Initiative that I'm a advisory council member of will have a meeting again in this area. It will actually be in South Beloit at the Sandcastle Community Center on March 1st from 1 to 4. And I'm excited about this continued initiative to obtain federal designation for the Rock River. We have been working with communities all along the Rock, from where it begins way up in northern Wisconsin to where it empties in Illinois at the mouth of the Mississippi. And I'm excited that we'll be hosting in our area another meeting related to that trail designation. I've been traveling quite a bit to other communities and seeing other beautiful places along the Rock River, communities that have embraced the river and have really invested in it, and it's paid off for those communities as well. And I'm excited that South Beloit has really come on board to really buy into that vision. And I think they've seen such great success that we've had here just across the border, And I know that Mayor Duffy and many of the South Beloit city councilors are interested in investing in the community along the river. So again, that's March 1st from 1 to 4 at South Beloit Sandcastle Community Center. We'd love to see you there. Thank you.
Councilor Vander Bogart.
Just urge citizens to get involved and go to BIF presentations, volunteer if you want. It's one of the big events of the winter season, and encourage everybody to participate.
Councilor Kincaid.
I'll be going to the movies, and it's really worthwhile. There's some great venues this year, and you won't be disappointed. Last week I attended for the first time, a legislative breakfast that the Chamber of Commerce sponsors, and Mark Pocan was on it, the new congressman. I think he was maybe 24 hours into his first meeting, but we were among the first people that he's ever met. So we got some good questions and got to figure out perhaps what kind of a congressman we would be. So we were very pleased with what we saw.
Councilor Lukey.
Last week, in the span of a few days, Beloit lost several friends, several iconic gentlemen who have given much of themselves to Beloit and asked for little in return. Bill Dahmer, Bill Baling, Frank Marsden, and Fred Matthews. And I'm not in any way taking away from anybody else who we lost in Beloit, but these four gentlemen, I think we all knew, and we knew of their great contributions to our city to make Beloit a better place. And I guess the word friend is probably the best way to put it. They gave much of themselves over the last decades. So I just wanted to pay a tribute on behalf of the council to these four gentlemen for giving so much of themselves to our community and our city.
Thank you. Mr. Vice President.
I want to echo Councilor Lubke's comments. Frank Marsden, in particular, was a mentor to me when I decided to run for City Council, and I also plan to attend BIF and look forward to that weekend.
And Councilor Levy.
I have nothing.
All right.
Choke you up with that.
Oh, in general, I think I've said enough tonight. However, I will say that mention that we do need to support BIF. I think it's a great thing, and it's doing well, and let's continue that. But I also want to point out to people, I had a relatively unpleasant conversation with a resident today about snow emergencies. And I would like to remind people that when it snows, as it often does in Wisconsin, that we should be proactive and make sure we get our vehicles off the streets. The plows depend on that. And almost most of us, or if not all of us, do have off-street parking. So I would recommend that you do heed that. Be proactive, get your vehicle off the street, protect yourself, protect our workers. Thank you. And item 11, City Manager's presentation. There isn't one, so we will move on to item 12A.
A resolution amending the 2013 capital improvement budget and appropriating funds from the police confiscated fund to purchase mobile video recording device equipment.
Tonight we're asking that you amend the capital improvements budget for a number of reasons. Most importantly is that we're able to use confiscated funds for the purchase of these video recorders and free up some extra money of taxpayers' money out of the capital improvements fund. It also gives us the opportunity to purchase 2 years' worth of the devices so that they are all similar. That makes it easier for training and also reduces our maintenance budget by reducing costs for some of the older units.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve?
Move approval.
Second. Moved by Levy, second by Lubke. Councilor DeForest.
Thank you. I just have a question for the sake of the public that's watching. These confiscated funds cannot be used for personnel, correct?
Correct.
They can only be used for special purchases like equipment.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll call that matter. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item passes 7-0. Item 12B.
A resolution authorizing the issuance of a purchase order for the replacement of 2 transit buses in 2014.
Ms. Gavin.
Tonight, we're asking the council authorize the issuance of a purchase order in order that the city can obtain 2 new transit buses to replace 2 older buses. The buses that we're trying to replace were their 1997 model years, and they're very high mileage. So consequently, their operating and maintenance costs are starting to escalate. We do, in fact, have a U.S. Department of Transportation, FTA, Federal Transit Administration grant that will pay for 80% of the cost of these 2 buses. Because of the lead time that it takes from the issuance of a purchase order until delivery, typically it takes about a year and a half, 15 to 18 months, as long as 20 months. We won't be taking delivery of these buses until 2014, which happens to be the year that these buses were referenced in the CIP for an out-year project. So by issuing the purchase order now, essentially we'll be on schedule with what council had originally intended in their planning process, because simply it takes that long for the manufacturer to make these buses. And so that's it.
Thank you. We have a motion.
I'll make a motion, Mr. President, that we accept 12B.
Second.
Moved by DeForest, second by Spreitzer. Councilor DeForest.
Thank you. Ms. Gavin, could you also talk about the anticipated discount that we'll receive by purchasing the buses using this year's pricing?
If we issued a purchase order between now and imminent, I was initially told it'd be the end of February, there's a PPI, which is an index. So the contract that we're piggybacking off of is a City of Kenosha contract. It happens to be the best one that I could find nationally for buses spec'd the way that we need them to be. And so currently the PPI is around 2%. So by not issuing the purchase order now, the cost of the buses will go up accordingly by around 2%, which is pretty significant.
Right, and what percentage of the bus purchase is covered by the Federal Transit Administration funds?
It's 80%.
Great.
80% federal funding.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Van de Bogart.
Ms. Gavin, can you explain, these are full-size buses, is that correct?
Yes, they're 35-foot.
And about approximately what's the passenger capacity of the buses?
A lot of that depends on how we get the seating configured. Typically, we've got room for 32 passengers, but there's different configurations. In fact, we're considering having these new buses configured differently so that they can accommodate 3 wheelchair passengers that rely on mobility devices instead of the current 2, which is a standard configuration. What that would mean if we had a very heavy load is actually we could potentially fit more passengers on those buses than what we're currently doing, in addition to the wheelchair users.
And can you explain to the public generally why we buy the large buses rather than the small? I know I've been asked this question numerous times in my time on the council. Gee, we see the buses going around and they're full-size buses. Why do we need the big buses? Talk about the lifespan of the 12 years versus the shorter, and then, of course, the contracts with the schools and that sort of thing. Just kind of give people an overview of what we're doing and why.
Broadly speaking, a shorter bus, in fact, we have some shorter buses that are 30-foot. The 97s that we're trying to replace, in fact, are 30 feet, and we're trying to replace them with 35-foot. By going to a shorter bus, it's about $10,000 cheaper than the longer bus. 8 fewer passengers, however, and over the course of 12 years, the local cost difference is $2,000, which is very negligible, I should say. The need is for bigger, not smaller. Fuel economy is the same. It doesn't really make a difference in terms of the actual fuel that's used. It certainly doesn't make a difference in terms of the driver's wages, what size of vehicle they're operating. And the best analogy that I can provide so that the public can understand is you have to build facilities, whether that's a school or a highway, for their peak capacity. There's a lot of highways that are darn near empty, midnight, but you're building them for rush hour. Same with our buses. Right now we're using 3 buses just at McNeil Middle School, for example, in the afternoon to pick up the loads. If we were to use shorter buses that we couldn't fit the kids on, we'd have to add staff and buses. So it's simply not cost effective to operate the smaller buses. Your maintenance costs are the same, your operating costs are the same. In fact, the purchase price is about the same. So it just all around does not make sense.
Isn't there also a factor of durability? The shorter ones don't last as long?
If we were looking at not conventional bus, in other words, if we were looking at, say, for example, a gasoline-powered vehicle, a 15-passenger, 20-passenger, then you're absolutely right. You're talking 7 years instead of 12. And the 12 is, the Federal Transit Administration requires that we operate these buses for a minimum of whatever comes first, 500,000 miles or 12 years. So if you compared that with any other gasoline-powered vehicle, your car, for example, imagine for a minute trying to get 500,000 of hard-duty miles on your passenger car. You'd be very lucky, very, very lucky. And then with the weight and capacity, and we're out in the worst of weather conditions as well. We don't have the option of just saying, okay, we're not going to go out today. We don't like it. So they're stopping and starting and so forth. So you're correct. It would be completely cost prohibitive to consider running anything other than, in fact, these are referred to as a heavy-duty coaches. They're all stainless steel chassis. The buses that we're operating use about 1/5 of the amount of fuel per person than your passenger car. So.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll call the matter. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item passes 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. And the last item is item number 13 for adjournment.
So moved.
Moved by Levy,
Second.
second by Spreitzer. All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned.
Good job, sir. Good job.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you.